Yo, how are you doing, Zach? It's me, the guy from the future. I see you're still watching basketball in 2025, eh? So it's a good thing I brought this futuristic basketball-centric newspaper to give to you with 26 things that will happen in the 2026 NBA season. Thanks, guy. I'll make sure to share this with everyone watching. But before I do that, how about I go ahead and make 26 predictions of my own, and then we'll see which ones match up with the newspaper at the end. Yeah, sure, I don't really care. I'm only from 1 year in the future, and I talk with this old accent. Isn't that weird? I don't... Anyways, I better get back to the future, eh? The world's getting... Dude, I better get back to the future, eh? The world's getting invaded by aliens, and I'm the only one that can stop them. What the hell? What are you doing here? Okay. I guess we just get into the predictions then. I'm gonna throw 26 hot takes at you as they get hotter and hotter, and at the end, I'll open this newspaper, and I'll see which hot takes I got right. Starting off ice cold, I think Wembanyama is the best young player in the NBA. Just in terms of potential, Wemby is easily on track to become a top 5 player before we even know it. And I think that time is literally going to be this year. Wemby is an absolute beast defensively. He was going to win the Defensive Player of the Year before he got injured. And he can shoot the three really well at a high clip, all while being 9'6". This guy's the future. He's the best young player in the NBA. Still ice cold, I think LaMelo Ball is going to be an all-star this year. Another just really easy tap in. LaMelo was the highest voted player among the fans, and he still didn't get into the All-Star game. If LaMelo doesn't make the All-Star roster this year, it's a clear sign the media and coaches have something against him, because they were the reason he missed the All-Star game last year, and I really don't think they're going to make that mistake again. Moving on, I think the Hawks are going to make the playoffs this year. It's already been talked into the ground. They newly added Porzingis and Luke Kennard as some very good depth pieces, and they still have Trey and Dyson Daniels. Along with Reece Shea going into his second year, I really think this team's going to make the playoffs, and if I were to guess a team that were to win the NBA Cup, I think it would honestly be this one. They have NBA Cup vibes all over them. Still pretty cold. I think the Thunder are the best team in the league next season. The Thunder had an all-time great season and kept all the core pieces of the roster going into next season. I think it's basically a fact they'll be the team to beat all season, and I honestly am not really confident any teams can do it. They're only getting older and they're coming off a championship win in experience. It's going to be tough to beat them. Moving these rapid fire ones out of the way, I think the NBA champions are going to be from the Western Conference. With the Celtics losing Tatum, the Cavs are the only team that I think could stand up to teams like the Rockets, the Thunder, the Nuggets, and maybe even the Mavs. I really feel like whichever team makes it out of the West will win the finals no matter what. There's just not enough competition in the East. This one's not a hot take. I think Nico Harrison should be fired. The more hot take is I think Nico Harrison will be fired. I feel like even if the Mavs have like a phenomenal 10 out of 10 season, Nico Harrison's job is gone. Mavs fans just hate him so much. They go up to him in public, and there's only so much pressure the owners are going to be able to take before they just straight up fire him. Next up, we're starting to get a little less probable. Embiid will return to form as a top tier player in the NBA again. I think just because he was injured the last 2 years, people are starting to underrate him, which is why this might be a bit of a hot take. But he's just now getting to the point where he's practicing without a brace on in the 76ers' practice. And I think by the time the season rolls around, he's going to be back to around his peak form. He's only 31, coming off an injury, he may be a little rustier. But I think after he gets past that, he's going to go back to being the Joel Embiid we all know. Next up, I think Russell Westbrook is going to go out with a bang. I think this is his last season, and I don't see Brody as the type to just like lay down and retire in a mediocre, lackluster way. I think Russ is going to have a good season. I think he's going to fill it with hype moments, and I think there's no way he's not going out with a bang. Next up, this one breaks my heart. I think it's LeBron's last year in the NBA. LeBron has been on a noticeable decline the past 2 years. He's been moving slower, jumping less high, averaging less points, less assists, everything. And last year, he averaged less than 25 points for the first time since his rookie year. And that just kind of makes me believe this year is going to be the last one for the GOAT. And the greatest player to ever wear number 23 going out on year number 23 is just too poetic. All right, moving on. I think this year's All-Star game is going to be the best All-Star game in a while. The talent in the league this year is enough reason to say this. It sounds like Adam Silver is bringing it back to Eastern versus Western Conference, and I think the players are going to buy into it more, but no matter what, it can't really be that much worse than last year's. I originally didn't hate last year's All-Star game, but I do think Eastern versus Western Conference is going to bring back more of the fun that it used to have. I don't really want to go into this one too much. I'm going to glaze the talent in the league a little bit later, so I'll keep this one short. Next up, I think that inside the NBA is going to suck this year. Sadly, after leaving TNT, I don't think Charles Barkley is going to be able to adapt to the new environment. He recently came to the media saying the pilot they taped for their new show on ESPN is the, quote, stupidest shit they've ever done, end quote. And that just makes me think his heart isn't in it. Like, he used to love doing it at TNT. I don't think he's buying into it at ESPN. And him and Shaq are the funniest duo on that show by far. Without one half of the duo, I think it's just going to be buns. This one's less of a hot take and more just a tough prediction. I think this year Kevin Durant's going to pass Michael Jordan in total points, and he's going to become the 5th all-time leading scorer. This one really just depends on how many games Durant plays. Right now he's about 1,700 points away from Michael Jordan, and last season he scored 1,600 points while only playing 62 games. If KD plays at least 65 to 70 games, I think he can pass MJ. Next up, I think the Nuggets are going to end this season as a top 2 team in the league. I think it's them and the Thunder. After years of having the exact same roster, the Nuggets made a move to get Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr., and I think this move, along with re-signing Bruce Brown, makes the roster look pretty fresh. And Jokic with a fresh roster might even make a push for the 1st seed in an extremely vicious West. This one really just depends on how well the Thunder do. Next up, we're starting to get in the real hot take territory. I think Cooper Flagg is not going to win Rookie of the Year. I think the Mavs are way too good for Flagg to be a serious option. I think his box score numbers at the end of the day just won't be good enough for him to justifiably get the award over other top picks that are going to get the ball more. I feel like even though the hype is there and the betting odds are there, Cooper Flagg is just not going to be impactful enough for the Mavs to be able to win it. Next up, I'm predicting Zion Williamson is going to be an all-NBA player. I'm a Zion believer, I'm a Zion fan, and I think this year is the year Zion takes the leap to an all-NBA team. And I'll say he goes as far as getting 2nd team convincingly. Zion's a wrecking ball of an NBA player, and I really think he's going to tear up the league. He's going to play a full season at his highest level, and he's going to make that All-NBA selection. Moving on, I think the Thunder are going to have 3 All-Stars this season. After one of the greatest seasons ever, like I already said, the Thunder's young stars are going to only get better. Shea was the MVP last season, so that one's a gimme. And then J-Dub was an All-Star last season, so he should be able to make it back. This one really just depends on whether or not Chet Holmgren can take the leap and become the All-Star level player that most people think he can. Moving on, I think Matas Buzelis, Lil Boozy, is going to break out this season. I'm a big Matas believer as well. I think he's got all the makings of a future star. I mean, if you just watch him play, I personally always think he's scoring at least 15 points per game just watching him play. But whenever I look at the box score, he's only averaging 8. I think this season he's going to make a jump and just become that 15 points per game player at the bare minimum. If not 20, if not 30, if not 40, if not 50. Lil Boozy is the GOAT. Moving on, we're officially in hot take territory. I think James Harden is going to be basically unplayable this season. Now that Kawhi is returning, maybe, as long as he doesn't get like banned from the league or whatever. They're going to have Kawhi, Bradley Beal, and Chris Paul all on the team. If Harden shoots 41% from the field and turns over the ball as much as he did last year while not having the ball that much, I think this year is Harden's Lakers Westbrook year. I really think these are the last few years of Harden. Moving on to Harden's old team, the 76ers. Right now, BetMGM has the line for them at 42.5 wins, and they think they're going to fall short of that. I think the 76ers are going to blow that 42 win prediction out of the water with a healthy Paul George, a healthy Embiid, and a healthy McCain alongside VJ Edgecombe, a good rookie. I feel like there's no way they don't win at least 50 games. Moving on, some JB love. I think Jaylen Brown is going to surprise people while Tatum's out. I think Brown has what it takes to be the star of a playoff team. And Brown, along with the already stacked Celtics, albeit less stacked because no more Drew Holiday and no more Kristaps Porzingis, I still think with Brown leading them, they're going to be a top tier team in the Eastern Conference, easily making the playoffs. And I think Brown could even get back to the All-NBA second team like he did a few years ago. I just don't like the disrespect Jaylen Brown gets whenever people mention him next to Tatum. Like, of course, Tatum is a top 5 player, but I think Jaylen Brown has the makings of a first option on a good team. Now, Brown and Tatum is one of the most interesting storylines you can get, but I think just across the league, we're getting the last years of Curry, LeBron, KD. We're getting the peak years of Luka, Shea, Jokic, and Giannis, while the beginning of the era with Wemby and Flagg and Anthony Edwards and all the other young players that are just starting to make their name. I think this season will be the best season of the 2020s. This season is the peak of talent that we're going to see for a while. I think this season is going to be unbelievably good. Moving on to a take that the fanboys are not going to like. I think Luka is not going to finish top 3 in MVP voting. He had a dip last season, and a lot of people are saying he's going to bounce back and have an MVP level season. I just think his quote-unquote revenge season will not live up to the hype directed towards it. I find it hard to believe Luka's going to finish above Giannis, Shea, and Jokic, who dominated MVP conversations last year. And even Wemby or Ant might surpass him in voting this year. I just don't think Lakers' Luka has what it takes to beat out all these phenomenal players and become a top 3 MVP candidate. Hopefully he proves me wrong. I just really don't think he will. Moving on to some aura man glaze. I think Shea this year is undeniably going to be the best player in the world. Shea is an anomaly developmentally. He's kind of like Kobe. He came into the league averaging almost no points as sort of a silent potential guy that no one really paid attention to. In every year since then, he's had a massive developmental jump. He went from a bench player to a starter on a playoff team to an all-star, and then last year he was the MVP winner and scoring leader. If he keeps up this cycle of just getting better every year, where else do you go after a season like he had last season? Well, I think he's going to have an all-time great scoring season, and he's going to make a massive playmaking jump while still playing MVP level defense. I think this is the year that he's not even in conversations with Jokic, with Giannis, with Luka. This is the year he's just going to be the number 1 player. He's just going to dominate those conversations. I think this is it. We're in the top 3 hottest takes now. I think this one is super controversial. The Pacers are going to continue to win games without Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers just came off one of the most fun to watch finals runs ever. And sadly, in the last game of that finals run, Halliburton went down with an Achilles tear. Now he's not going to be playing next season as he rests up for the season after. And this loss is obviously going to be felt as the Pacers relied heavily on his playmaking. But I think Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton were kind of 1A, 1B. And I think Siakam at the helm is still going to lead them to plenty of wins, make them a definite playoff team, along with the developmental jumps that players like Nembhard had, players like Benedict Mathurin had. I think this team's going to fare well without Tyrese Halliburton, and they're going to be in really good shape by the time he comes back. This one's a bit of a sad one. I think the LeBron, Curry, KD era that I grew up with is officially over. I already talked about how I think LeBron's going to retire after this year and Luka's going to take over. And then I think KD going to the Rockets is not going to be nearly as good as he has been on any of his other teams. This all comes down to however good Curry is. He's still in pretty good shape. He's been starting to fall back these last few years. And I think this is the year where people look around the league and they go, neither LeBron, Curry, or KD are in top 10 talks or even NBA championship talks. I think the era of these 3 pillars of basketball is coming to an end. And my number 1 hot take, I'm jumping on the Evan Mobley train. I think he's going to be a top 5 player in the NBA this season. This is easily my hottest take. Not a lot of people are high on Evan Mobley, but he snuck under the radar last year as a phenomenal player. Even with the Defensive Player of the Year, people underestimate him offensively, and he's still pretty young. He's starting to learn to shoot that 3. If he comes back with the 3 this season, he is going to destroy everyone. He's going to be the number 1 offensive option on a great Cavs team. I think people are going to wake up and be surprised at how good Evan Mobley is this season. If you want to hear some Evan Mobley propaganda, make sure to subscribe. All right, let me go ahead and open this newspaper. Okay, it just says I got everything right. All right, subscribe, like, comment. Thank you. Bye-bye.